Hello. I think I'm on. Let me check my volume here. All right. Happy weekend, everybody. Glad you're back. Excuse me, I have a sheet because I have a lot of instructions for you today. And if you hear animals barking, those would be hopefully mine. Couple reminders for you. First of all, keep an eye on that left side of your Google Classroom page. That's where there's due dates. And there's a couple of you that still haven't turned in questions from Chapter 1, and we're actually moving into Chapter 3 already. So if you're missing stuff, you need to be watching that. If you don't know how to attach documents, please don't feel embarrassed to ask other people in the classroom, because in every class there's somebody who knows how to do it, because I have been getting assignments. Also this week on Wednesday, you're going to be going back to your classroom of origin. So if you're a Bagnell student, you'll be back with Bagnell just for Wednesday. If you're a Malin kid, you'll be with me just for Wednesday. Okay. Today, what I'm interested in you doing is I want you to have a discussion based on chapters 1 and 2. And if you've read further than chapter 2, because I know that some of you, like when you get in a book, you don't put it down, which is fine, but just don't ruin the book for anyone. And that goes for the whole book. Don't spoil it, because really things that you don't expect to happen are going to happen in this book. And so you guys are going to all finish it way before the other students are. So I'm asking that you not ruin the story for other students. Okay, so first of all, you're going to need a timekeeper today. So pause this video now. Once everybody gets to this point, just pause it, and you guys decide who's going to be your timekeeper. It's got to be somebody who's keeping track of things so we don't lose track of time. So go ahead and pause the video. All right, I assume you now have chosen a timekeeper. I'm going to break you into groups. Actually, I'm not going to break you into groups. You're going to break you into groups. Hour 2, you're only going to have one group because of the size of the groups that you have. Hours 3 and 4, you're going to need 2 groups. Hour 6 and 7, you're going to need to break yourselves into 3 groups. Each group has to have someone in it who's going to record the discussion on an iPad. So you'll have to figure out who that person will be. Now, this doesn't mean that this person is out of the conversation. It just means that they're responsible for recording it, making sure it's running, and then emailing it to me. So why don't we pause it again and take the next 3 minutes, figure out who's in which group. If you're in hours 3 and 4, again, you're breaking into 2 groups. If you're in hours 6 and 7, you're going to be breaking into 3. So pause the video, figure out who's in which group. Remember that the groups should be equal. No one should be left out. And if you have one extra person, then there should be, that person is added to a group. So figure that out. Go ahead and pause the video. All right. So I assume you now have put yourselves into groups. Congratulations. You have done a wonderful job. All the groups have to stay in the LMC during this discussion, just so that Ms. Atanat can keep track of you. So timekeeper, you want to make sure that you're paying attention to the time, so that we don't go too far and you guys still have time to get some of your reading done. So once the groups have been chosen, why don't you, timekeeper, go ahead and give everybody maybe 3 or 4 minutes to preview their questions and their discussion items from chapter 1 and 2. For chapter 1, I had questions, and for chapter 2, you were supposed to develop your own. So why don't you look at the clock, give everybody 3 minutes to just take and look at their questions prior to the discussion. So let's do that now. So go ahead and pause me one more time. Timekeeper, watch for 3 minutes, and then let everybody know when they need to come back to the video. All right, so you should have checked over your questions. In this discussion, I want you to think about what makes an effective conversation or an effective discussion. I know that you've done all kinds, you've done Socratic seminars, and so just think for a second about what makes that effective. I want you to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to ask a question, since I'm going to be marking this as a formative mark. iPad recorder, you need to make sure that that everybody can be seen so that I can tell who's asking questions, okay? And then timekeeper for the discussion. I'm thinking 10 to 12 minutes is enough. I'm going to let you base that on the size of the groups that you have. If you have some groups that only have 4 or 5 people in them, you might get away with 10 minutes. But if you have 6 or 7 people in a group or more, you're probably going to need more like 12 minutes, okay? But everybody has the same amount of time, and the discussion groups are all going to be happening at the same time. You're not watching each other. So you're just going to get into 3 separate parts of the LMC. The timekeeper is going to say, okay, let's start the conversations now. And timekeeper, you're going to be part of a discussion too. And then at some point you're going to say, okay, the 12 minutes are up. Let's come back together. So you're just going to start them all and end them all on the same time. Then when the group discussion is completed, I want you to go and take a look at chapter 1 and 2 for the vocab. And then if you would scroll to page 4, and I know these are a lot of directions, but remember, you can play this video again if you need to, and see if you have a theme chosen. If you haven't chosen a theme yet, you really need to do that because we're going to be moving into chapter 3 today, okay? And then last but not least, there is an exit slip. So if you would make sure that you get that exit slip filled out prior to leaving, that would be good. So really for today's events, you're thinking about discussion and conversation. You're going to have a discussion about chapters 1 and 2. You're going to start reading chapter 3, remembering your vocab, remembering your theme, and you should be able to get through chapter 3 today, end it with that exit slip, okay? All right. You guys are doing great, by the way. Miss Atanat has sent me a couple of pictures from the iPads and from the work that I'm seeing. I'm really impressed with some of the thinking and the level of contemplation that's happening in your group. So I'm glad this is working out. If you have any questions, remember, I'm just an email away. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good day.